Hello and welcome to my boardroom. I'm Mr. Business, also known as Liam Edwards. In reality, I'm a game designer and podcaster, but today I am a British man who's transitioned into Hollywood executive somehow. And I'm here to hear bad movie and TV pitches about video games because we all know that's what makes money these days. With me are a sleuth, a host, a gaggle of incredible, wonderful creators who are going to tell me the worst pitches imaginable about video games. And I could not be more excited. So let's have a quick round of introductions. Let's start with Mr. Xalavier Nelson Jr. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Xalavier Nelson Jr. I'm a narrative director working in games. You might know me from my work on Hypnospace Outlaw, We're the Caretakers, and Airport for Aliens, currently run by Dog Skatebird, or literally over 40 games in the past 4 years. I'm tired all the time, and that place of mania, that eager desire to launch out of this medium by any means possible is what's driving me to the boardroom today.
Yes, don't worry. They are socially distanced boardrooms. Have you seen how big they are? Don't worry. Me and Xavier are not touching. No touching. With us as well, we have completely opposite ends. Also with us, we have Mr. Dan Hernandez, who is our official expert in this category today.
Well, yes. Not only because I've written a video game movie, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, but also because I'm infamously known for my bad ideas. I've pitched a lot of bad ideas over the years. And when I heard that this panel was going on, I felt like it couldn't go on without me, and just a level of atrocious imagineering that I bring to any circumstance. So I'm really thrilled to be doing a bad job today.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have the wonderful Daniella Radford, who is here to pitch her bad ideas as well.
Hi. So I'm Danielle Radford. You might know me from Screen Junkies, Fandom. I am one of the writers on Honest Trailers. I am also one of the content producer, writer, whatever, on Sci-Fi's The Great Debate, in which, if you recognize my voice, I do the voice of DB8. I have written nothing except things making fun of other people's hard art. So I'm just going to continue right on in that vein. And now I just, instead of making fun of the art of those around me who I respect, I'm going to make fun of the art of people I don't know, like people who make video games. It's a good life. It's a good life if you can get it.
And alongside us, we also have TV writer and also former video game writer, Mr. Mike Drucker.
Hello, I'm Mike Drucker. I'm a TV writer. I've written on Adam Ruins Everything, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, The President Show, Tonight Show, a few others. I was also a localization editor and writer at Nintendo of America, where I worked on Kid Icarus Uprising. I also did comedy with Danielle in Seattle, and I'm from the same town as Dan and did not meet him until recently.
And face to face for the first time right now.
Yeah.
Incredible. We're bringing people together in this fake boardroom of mine. Can you believe such a wealth of talent, and the pitches you're going to hear today would tell otherwise, I can assure you. So let's kick things off in the worst possible video game adaptations possible with actually a pretty good video game adaptation, I think, which is right into Miss Daniella Radford. You are here with By Nook or By Crook.
Yes. So my fake movie that I am pitching today, it is a Animal Crossing. We're doing an Animal Crossing adaptation. It's called By Nook or By Crook. Tom Nook he's just a bad guy. We all know this. He's a loan shark. He is a loan shark of these islands. And so in this, he is also not just a loan shark. He is a loan shark with a problem. Man's got gambling debts. He is in it up to his raccoon eye. And so the mob has sent someone to take care of this Tom Nook problem. The mob has sent their best hitman, who was going to go undercover as a lowly villager and see if he can find out not only where Tom Nook has hidden his hidden stash of money, and then he has to take care of the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, but Tom Nook is the villager going to discover how much he loves island life? Is he going to be able to resist the mysterious charms of Isabelle? We don't know. But we will find out.
We will find out.
All of your answers are questioned and questions are answered. This will be directed by none other than Mick G. Mick G will be our director, and it stars Tom Hardy as Villager, Paul Giamatti as Tom Nook.
Okay.
And burgeoning superstar Journey Smollett as Isabelle. I'm looking for a budget of 50 million.
Yes. Yes. The big point here, 50 million. Is this because we need to literally buy a tropical island in the middle of nowhere?
Yes, and I've heard apparently you can just go to the Bahamas and just tell people you bought an island and do whatever you want on it, and no one actually needs you to pay for anything. So I was thinking that we could go out to the Bahamas and just take one of those islands over, and we would be fine. Most of this is going to actor salaries. In order to get into the full raccoon makeup without making it look like blackface, that's going to cost at least 20 million of our $50 million budget.
Yes, I believe that could be an issue. Having Paul Giamatti be painted brown and dark brown could be quite problematic.
We got to please those SJWs. Am I right? We got to make sure that we're not doing that, right? So let's make sure that we're doing everything above board, and that's at least. Oh, I'm sorry, I said 20 million. It's going to be at least 25 million for the extra 5 million. Don't piss off SJW insurance.
Can we apply the tech used to erase Superman's mustache in the Justice League movie to this racism problem?
Oh, you bet we can. Oh, you bet we can.
Can I pitch a scene?
Yes.
The assassin and Tom Nook are walking on the island that we've bought, and they come to a railroad track, and then there's a little pedestrian walkway across, kind of like a sky bridge, and Tom Hardy turns to Tom Nook and he says, "What's that?" And he says, "Oh, that's the Animal Crossing."
Dan, I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's so beautiful.
See it.
I love it.
What do you think?
A single tear, just like one deep Bruce Wayne in the new Batman mascara tear just dripped down my face.
That's the Oscar clip.
That's how he's going to earn his Oscar through this. So I want to return to the Tom Hardy villager conundrum we have here, because Tom Hardy, well-known character actor, right? But villager doesn't speak. Now, we've had issues with Tom Hardy characters in the past with people not being able to understand him. Is this a case where we're going to have Tom Hardy try and talk and he just has a muffling voice as usual? Or are we just full blown not going to have Tom Hardy talk at all?
Well, see, that's part of the mystery, because he is the villager we think is strong and silent type, but it turns out that he might have a secret past with young Miss Isabelle, and so if he winds up talking, she might recognize his very distinct accent and weird character choices, Rob Pattinson style. And so, in order for him to not do that, he has decided that he, as the villager, is not only coming to live his new life, he's also maybe a monk.
Do we spend predominantly, let's say, 60 to 70 minutes of the 120-minute runtime watching Tom Hardy just go around an island digging holes and chopping trees?
Yes, and the other 30% is watching KK Slider songs.
Okay, well, the 50 million budget is going. It's going places. It's really going places.
The trailer would have like a really downbeat KK Slider song, like a Jordan Peele trailer.
Yeah.
Like a remixed version that just throws everybody off.
Do you feel like buying my radishes?
Is Daisy May like the informant? She has like all the hidden information on Tom Nook, but you have to buy the turnips to
Well, that's
get that info.
Well, because that's part of Tom Nook's problem is the gambling. Of course, the local bookie is going to know exactly how to get into what Tom Nook needs, definitely for sure. And I was thinking that she would be played by a Charlize Theron.
Oh.
Ooh.
I was just thinking, who are we going to cast as KK Slider? I feel like
Jack
that's
Black. You can convince Jack Black to do this for no money. He would fly himself out to do this.
I don't think you guys are thinking bad enough though, because let me school you a little bit. Whatever your worst idea is, make it worse. If you're a real executive, would be like, look, KK Slider, yeah, we could get a talented person, or we could get a TikTok celebrity.
Yeah.
Or
Mr. Beast.
we could
There
get
we go.
I think that there's some real opportunities for true badness that top level executives would try to impose on this project. So I just hope that you're open to making it as bad as it can be.
Oh, I am open to making everything terrible. I oftentimes have no choice.
I feel like the KK Slider role is really where we could get quite funky with it.
Yeah.
And we could hire just the most insane casting.
So hear me out. KK Slider is now 2 characters, each of them standing for a K. And it's Jake and Logan Paul.
Yes.
That's the kind of bad thinking I'm talking about.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, well, and you know that's going to balloon our budget. We've got to get more insurance because the Paul brothers are coming. And when the Paul brothers are coming, the party comes with them. We're also going to definitely have to make sure that we have plenty of Gatorade and plastic straws on deck, just because people like drinking things out of straws. So that budget's going to wind up going up tremendously. Yeah, I'm very down for this. I can't wait to see the docuseries that Shane Dawson eventually does about their time on set.
Yeah, we have to hire Shane Dawson to do the behind the scenes of the movie. That's got to come with it.
It's going to be called KKK Slider, and it's going to get 3 million views within minutes.
See,
with Paul Giamatti's makeup,
yes,
predominantly the major part of that. And so 50 million seems fairly reasonable. Dan, so we're heading for a tropical island. Paul Giamatti, Tom Hardy, some insane CGI makeup probably needed eventually, and the Logan Paul brothers. Do you think 50 million is going to cover this?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Absolutely not. No, I think that we're talking. First of all, I want the Mandalorian camera setup.
30 cameras,
that's going to cost. I want the Avatar, Seas of Pandora, motion capture, instant rendering technology, so we can see it rendering in real time. These are not cheap things, and we're going to have to invent some technologies probably. So I think that realistically, when you add in the cost of marketing, we're in the $300 to $350 million range on this project.
Okay, we're gonna make it for 50 million, and we'll just see where we get. Approved.
Right. I'm just being honest. I'm not.
Well, quickly moving on to our next pitch then, with a lower budget that we'll eventually get to. I wonder if we can make it. It is Shenmue the Movie by Xalavier Nelson Jr.
So here's the thing about Shenmue. We had to debate. It took a lot of convincing in the boardroom to convince the executive team to not change it to Shenmue and change it to a farm in rural Kansas and have the main character be played by Timothée Chalamet. So already this movie existing is a victory.
But can you tell us the plot of this one that you're actually pitching?
Yes. So Shenmue the Movie, we have Ryo Hazuki, a young, bright, preternaturally skilled at kicking man who discovers that his father has died. And in this moment, especially in a small town such as Yokosuka, the town comes together to support him. They are leaving meals. They are giving any information they can to try to find this murder. But the problem is, Ryo isn't a very good detective, And so he just kind of sticks around, and he continues to investigate this death for the next 30 to 40 years for the rest of his natural life. And what that means is the town begins a new tradition. It itself becomes a artificial simulacrum. As it gets that you have to treat him like an old three-legged dog that you just kind of move around their usual routes to fit in around just the way that they operate through this world. So parents pass on to their children, hey, Rio comes to the swing sets at 4 a.m. and he just like kicks the swings for a little bit. And he says, level up, level up, level up. Don't question it. Don't go outside. When he comes to the store, you're going to introduce yourself as me, because if he sees someone new, he's going to lose his ever-loving mind. Shenmue meets the Truman Show as an entire village comes together in a generational story to support one young man's haphazard quest to investigate his father's murder. That's Shenmue the movie right there.
It's very powerful.
It's a story about family, and it takes a village to raise a man is the tagline.
That's a good one. I'm sold on that alone.
I like that. That's good.
Okay, so let's talk about your casting then. We have Ryo Hazuki played by
Henry Golding,
which I feel like is a very good casting. That's a very good casting.
We need that very good casting to support the very bad casting of the supporting cast, which is, I mentioned Shenmue having to move away from that. Unfortunately, we have retained an all-white supporting cast. So Margot Martindale, Walton Goggins, heroes, character actors. I love all of them, but they are all in Japan, and we never really explain that. And Walton walks up and says, "Hey, I'm Yokosuka.
Hey, Ryo.
I need you to drive a pitchfork launcher. I'm trying to think of there's a thing that moves up and down. You drive it in the Shenmue games.
A forklift?
Pitchfork launcher.
There is nothing that says all of us are nerds more than trying to remember forklift.
You remember, it was that level that we all really liked.
Remember that it's like a truck, but not really?
It's like a lifty.
Lifts things.
The only time I've ever seen one is in Shenmue.
So here's Walton Goggins saying, hey, drive a forklift. And everyone's really going hard at this. And Henry Golding is sort of holding it all together. Again, it is about family. This is directed by Taika Waititi. It has a budget of $4 million, the same budget roughly of like What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People, because we're operating on a small scale.
This is a very low budget. It's indie level budget, but you're trying to convince a whole village to be. Are we paying them in rice because it's Yokosuka and we can just,
Well, as I mentioned, we're replacing them all with white people. So
white people are expensive. Unfortunately,
yes,
they demand a certain price.
So the thing is, from what I've learned of colonialism, you can take a place that is owned by other people and just move white people in, and it costs nothing.
I have heard that.
So if we can get Walton Goggins moved into a small village in Japan today, no cost.
He's not doing anything, so it's fairly easy.
He already finished his Marvel movie appearance. When is that Marvel movie money going to come back in again? We don't know. It'd
be fairly easy. I do feel rather sad just watching Henry Golding sort of walk around like a mentally deranged patient that you feel sympathy for, and he's just been guiding along like on a tour every day of different spots in the same village. He's a handsome young man.
The real sadness is for like the village who has to come up with yet more obvious clues to try to get him to leave the village. Like, I think I saw Lon D looking pointedly into the camera, go that way. And he turns that way and he sees a wall and he's like, he couldn't go through a wall. There must be something more afoot. And he walks away before you can do anything. He runs so fast. He's so athletic.
I think you just don't understand Japanese culture.
Can confirm. So the one thing I want to talk about is we obviously don't have to cast Lan Di because, as would be true to Shenmue, we have never seen the bloody guy. So don't need to cast him. That's a start. But if we are going to cast something important, who are we going to cast as the forklift? It is an integral character to the series, to the game, in everybody's memories, beloved character. Who is Henry Golding going to be writing to do his mini games?
Oh. No, because I had one, but also then I put that because Danny DeVito, but then a lot of other things happened all at the same time.
I feel like that's how it's going to be sold, but we're on a $4 million budget, so we're going to have to get somebody cheap. I feel like we can do this because Walter Goggins. Somebody with legacy. Mike, do you know anybody who could play a forklift?
A forklift? Like forklift as himself? Or herself? It's 2020. A forklift can be a girl.
That's true.
Yeah.
It can be.
I think that there might be an opportunity to use, the holographic technology to get an actor from years past. Is it Toshiro Mifune as the forklift? Is it someone is it Peter O'Toole? Is it someone who's no longer with us?
Christopher Lee.
Oh, good choice.
And I think, and I will say one other thing, at a $4 million budget, is there a branding opportunity with the forklift? Is it
like a JCB?
Pepsi's Shenmue the movie? Is it Hewlett Packard presents Shenmue the movie, and we make it so that the forklift actually is with our brand partner, that it matches up. So we're getting an influx of cash.
So you're saying with this partnership deal and the act of necromancy we're considering, it's not Marlon Brando as forklift, it's Pepsi's Marlon Brando as forklift.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I know that know that you're an artist but sometimes, the rubber hits the road and you need to think about the economy. What's green? What are the greenbacks saying? And I think that if you're willing to make a few artistic compromises, maybe your budget stretches a little farther. That's all I'll say.
We already have the Mandalorian tech left over from filming By Knuckle by Crook, so we can use that to bring back any beloved actor.
Yeah, especially if the forklift has a gamer chair. Like that's where all the good money is. So.
Oh my! Let's get DX Racer on the line. Secret Lab. I mean, they're going to be down, right? Do we? I forget his name now. Who's the original Shenmue creator again? I forget his name.
Yu Suzuki.
Do we bring him in any creative capacity, or do we just literally destroy what he made?
I think
we don't even tell him there's a movie. We don't tell him.
Don't even tell him.
A check shows up one day, and that's it. He just
that's right.
like, oh, look, it's a giant check with my name on it, and then he catches it.
I say we use the holograms to, in fact, replicate him inside of the simulation. And whenever we need like extras, as far as like we've already spent all of our money on white people, we'll just have a bunch of Yu Suzukis replicated.
Oh yeah, we can cut the budget out
with
completely.
hologram technology.
Yeah, just lots of Yu Suzukis around. That sounds money saving. And we know Yuzuki, he doesn't get out of bed for like a 4 million Kickstarter these days anyway, so he's pretty expensive. So we're gonna have to duplicate him a couple of times. Otherwise, we're just gonna run out of money very quickly.
But it's very important in any of these to remember we have to violate the spirit of what people originally liked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It's imperative that whatever it is that people liked about it, we shit on it as much as possible. And
So we're making Shenmue 3 the movie.
What I'm instead suggesting is, I have a lot of respect for the man personally, but I think the only person who could bring in the deals necessary to make this movie get off the ground at the budget that we're targeting is Adam Sandler.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, there we go.
Taika Waititi's pretty expensive, so we could replace him with Adam Sandler. I mean,
Yeah.
He did say
Adam
after
Sandler
not winning
brings the money. He
did
brings
say-
the crapping on a legacy.
He did say
He-
after not winning an Oscar for Uncut Gems that the next movie was going to be the worst movie he'd ever make. So I feel like this is the prime opportunity for him to do that.
This is the time.
This is the time. Well, with $4 million, we'll see it done. But moving very swiftly on to the next pitch from our expert, Mr. Dan Hernandez. We have Michael Jackson's Moonwalker the Show. And I think you can already
going
see
home.
where our problem is going to
Now,
lie.
wait a minute. Let me take you to school again for a moment.
Oh,
I
please.
love it.
Here's
love
what
going
you
to
have to
school.
understand about the industry and the people in it. Truly bad ideas have to be so bad that someone thinks it's a very good idea. That's how Cats the movie happened. Thousands of people got together and were like, not only is this a great idea, people are going to love it. We should spend as much money as possible on it, and we are all going to win Oscars. So when I was approaching what would be the worst adaptation of a game into a in this case a TV show,
TV show, yeah. We have to remember this is per episode now.
I thought to myself, what is a flashy piece of IP? What is a flashy title that should be avoided at all costs, but that some executive would talk themselves into and go, you know what? Maybe, I mean, great music, great special effects, a huge name. Maybe there's a way that we pull this off. Do I know how to do it? No, but I'm going to hire some geek writer and they're going to figure it out. And so that's how I arrived at Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, the show. I don't know
It's
if
an
anyone.
incredible title.
Yes. And I don't know if anyone's ever played. This is old school. There was an arcade version of it, but there was also a Sega Genesis version of it, which was much worse. It's based on the Sega Genesis version. The plot of this game, if no one has ever played it, is Michael Jackson walks. It's a side-scrolling sort of half beat 'em up where Michael Jackson is looking for children who are hiding from him. This is true. I'm not making this up, and I present it without comment other than that is what happens in the game. Now,
And that's what will happen in our TV show as well.
absolutely.
It's
Now,
true. It's true to the game.
You might say to yourself, or you might say to me, Dan, aren't there some problems? Aren't there some kind of, I don't know, isn't this a sensitive subject? And my answer would be, to be truly bad, yes, but here's what we're going to do.
It's truly bad.
Along with Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, the show, we are launching another show, which is The Search for Michael Jackson. It is going to be a reality show along the lines of that show where they cast the new cast of Grease. Do you remember that years ago?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So we're going to do a worldwide reality search for the person, because think about it. There's two ways to go with this. We either cast an unknown via a reality show, or we get someone who truly, a good actor. We need to get like a really good actor who really wants to ruin their career. and I think that those are the only two ways to go on this.
And we don't have the hologram tech anymore because it got destroyed after Danny DeVito
Yeah.
destroyed
I'm glad
the
that
set
you
of
mentioned.
Shenmue movie.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because Moonwalker. Has anyone seen Moonwalker the movie?
Oh yeah, I have it memorized.
So as you know, a young man named Joe Pesci plays the bad guy in that movie called Mr. Big, and Mr. Big wants to sell drugs to the children, and Michael Jackson has to stop him. So my proposal is much of the budget, and I'm talking, I believe Game of Thrones had a budget of about $10 million per episode. We're going to need to probably double that, because my proposal is to use the Irishman de-aging technology
Yes.
on Joe Pesci, reprising his role as Mr. Big. in Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. A few other points that I think I should mention about the real game and the movie. In the movie, Michael Jackson, it turns out, seems to be an alien of some kind. And he's able to turn into a car.
I forgot about that.
He turns into a giant mech. He turns into basically a Robotech at the end of the film.
Got every demographic covered.
So, again, you know, here. I'm going to take you behind the curtain for a second. Sometimes, and Mike, you can probably attest to this, and maybe it's the same in game design. I don't know. You know, sometimes when you're in these meetings with executives, they will ask a very leading question that has a clear answer.
Yeah.
And you, as the person pitching, sometimes have to kind of like be like, okay, there's a clear answer here. It's pretty obvious what it is. And so I'll give you an example. Mike, were you thinking that Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, the show, was going to be like super expensive and like every episode was going to be like, I don't know, like $20-30 million? Or were you thinking it was going to be more like contained? You know, maybe there were going to be some interiors. Maybe we keep the budget, you know, a little under wraps. What were you thinking in that respect?
Oh, I think it's going to be much cheaper than we think, and it'll be cheap, and we make it cheap, and yeah.
So that's the right answer.
Yeah.
But in this case, no. In this case, you know, it's. Well, were you thinking that you were going to have like a live chimpanzee to be Bubbles, or were you thinking like maybe, you know, like we don't need Bubbles the chimp? My answer: we need a chimp.
We need a chimp.
We need the chimp. We need $20 million an episode. And by the way, one funny thing, I was watching a Let's Play of the game. The game is a side-scrolling beat 'em up, in which Michael Jackson plays his own character from the video Smooth Criminal. So he's in his full, you know, gangster getup. He also does that in the movie. And it's basically like a side-scrolling beat 'em up. You fight the zombies from Thriller, and his special move is that he can make anyone dance at any time. That's kind of like it's kind of like Streets of Rage with the bazooka, except he makes everyone dance. The final boss of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, the Sega game, literally becomes a different game. It becomes a Star Fox-esque space shooter when Michael Jackson turns into a spaceship. So
and how do we practical effect this, or
we have to go to
we have to go to space.
Liam.
You're
going to
the clear
space.
answer. The clear yes. Yeah, the clear answer.
Is this the thing that Tom Cruise was talking about shooting in space? Is it this movie?
I think that Tom Cruise is Michael Jackson in Michael Jackson's Moonwalker the show is exactly the kind of bad casting that would ruin his career. And so yes, I think that he's on the short list. Scarlett Johansson, of course. We'll talk. We're making a list. That's if we don't go the reality show route.
We have $20 million an episode.
What if we had a robot play Robot Michael Jackson?
What?
That's really interesting. Like if we went to Boston Dynamics and we said, price is no object.
Yeah, you know those creepy robots with all of the legs that run? Give us 40 of those creepy robots with all of the legs that run.
Yeah. Can I be very clear as well? We have to have a robot monkey version of Bubbles that sits on the robot mech's shoulder as well. It's a done deal if that can happen.
Look, you're the money man, boss. You tell me to jump, I say how high. You want a robot Bubbles that sits on Michael's shoulder? You've got it. That's what I do. That's my job. Okay? I'm here to facilitate what you need, whether it's the right thing for this movie, whether it's artistically just prostituting myself. I'm not concerned about that right now. What I am concerned about is getting a green light right now in the room for Michael Jackson's Moonwalker the show.
It's greenlit already. We started casting. The reality show is filming next door. We're finding the next Michael.
Who were the judges for the reality show?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a great question.
We have to have Simon Cowell.
Simon Cowell.
Yes.
A giant sentient Coke, just a Coke, one of those big cups. It doesn't have to say anything. We just assume it always says no.
I think we could also, speaking about subsidizing this budget, we could get the giant Gillette razor from all of the Game Awards things.
The stick robot, yeah, and it hits like the golden buzzer, the one that allows people to go through to the next round. That's all it does. It just sits there. Sometimes
I believe one of the judges is one of the free characters from Raid Shadow Legends. So that's a great, and we appreciate our friends at Raid Shadow Legends.
Thanks for sponsoring this panel.
Thank you for sponsoring Michael Jackson. I know it's kind of. I'm sorry, Raid Shadow Legends. I shouldn't drag you into this.
It's tainted.
It's tainted. Tainted such a pure product.
We can send Raid Shadow Legends into space alongside our actors.
All I'm saying is there's someone right now in Los Angeles who would have heard this pitch and gone, yes. It has problems, but that's why we do what we do. I love it.
We solved them.
The one thing I love as an executive is that it is the familiar. And not only is this built off of a rock solid brand and a giant it has a flashy name, has a flashy title, as a flasher, and you have built into the TV concept a Monster of the Week style show that ties it all together, because every week Michael is finding a different child. Right there.
People are going to feel the same way about Michael Jackson forever. That's never going to change.
Well,
that is the most positive part about this.
I think that's why you go with a huge legacy brand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Public opinion, can never be swayed. It's all good. If we could pull some strings here, though, I think we need some sort of like news segment inside of the show to keep you updated with the children that are disappearing and stuff. I feel like, Mike, could we get Samantha Bee to be cameoing in there to tell the intersecting stories between each section?
Yeah, I don't have the authority to say yes, but I'll say yes.
And that's what we like to hear.
I think that there's a lot of opportunities for stunt casting in this. I think to myself, Glee had a very successful model where they had covers of, the songs that they would then sell on iTunes. Each episode, do we get?
Sorry, Dan, I have to inform you, we don't have the license for any Michael Jackson song. So throughout the whole TV show, there will be just other songs.
In some ways, I think that's good.
We can make like the kazoo version of each Michael Jackson song. I think that falls into parody rights.
We aren't a parody. We're serious.
This is a very serious show, but I think, I think not having not having the songs as a crutch actually will make us remember what we love about Michael Jackson as a character. So
is El DeBarge available? Maybe we can have some El DeBarge songs.
I think the sky's the limit. Look, I'm not trying to be flippant. I'm just saying there's a brand lying fallow, and as a terrible writer and pitching a terrible idea, this was the worst one that I could think of.
Fair.
And the closest we'll ever get to making a real one. And swiftly moving on then, we've already spent $74 million. So we're gonna just blow all that out of the water with Seaman the Movie by Mike Drucker.
That's right. Buckle up. I did a little more work on my presentation than was necessary. Next slide.
Rolling. What is Seaman?
What is Seaman? What isn't Seaman? Seaman is a Dreamcast game in which you raise a seaman. A seaman's a half man, half fish that you raise. Speaking to the microphone, we've gone out to Josh Gad to gauge interest for the role of Seaman. All right,
we don't have a relationship with Josh, so we,
great.
We'll talk later.
Let's talk later.
This is gonna make this even better if that is the case.
Precedent.
Seaman the Movie, the story.
In the year 2021, science is mankind is at a standstill because of war and stuff. The air is really bad, so two rival scientists want to make people be able to live underwater, so they both try to make their own Seaman, played by Josh Gad. But they can make their own but can they make their own Seaman before it's too late to do that? And what if Seaman has a few ideas of his own? Sounds like this is going to be a lot of work. Next slide. I spent like 2 hours on this slide, so you guys have to hear it. Act breakdown. Act 1, the world is in danger. Two rival scientists are trying to discover a way to make people live underwater. Act 2, one genetic experiment on a harvested embryo results in a Seaman, and everyone is really excited. Seaman is a big media story. Act 3, Seaman, now famous, forgets his friends and how he got there. His friends are now disappointed and leave him. Act 4, Seaman realizes his mistake and reunites with the two scientists who are still the main characters, ? Act 5, TBD pending Josh Gad attachment.
So, a question. So, from what I understand of the act breakdown, we don't see Seaman in Seaman the movie until Act 2.
Yeah, it's like a horror movie. You don't see like Freddy or Jason right away. You can maybe get some hints. But you gotta
it's like Godzilla, the whole of Godzilla where you only saw his foot.
It's like the really political Godzilla movies where you have to go through a lot until you get to Godzilla.
Yes. So we have audience and demographic.
Cool teens. Our audience is cool teens. I Google image search them because I no longer know. Cool teens is our audience.
Cool. And we have confirmed stars.
Confirmed stars. Helen Mirren as fish scientist Dr. Margaret Plutarski. Michael B. Jordan as rival fish science Dr. Plutargret Marsky. Michael Ironside as General Yancey Rhymes. And Ryan Reynolds as Ryan Reynolds.
I have a relationship with Ryan, so maybe we'll talk after.
Will it have Josh Gad? We don't know. All right, next slide. Possible scenes. Seaman buys sunglasses and wears them to the song Bad to the Bone. Dr. Margaret Plutarski and Dr. Plutargret Marsky dance to a song like they're about to be romantic, but then Seaman interrupts like, I'm here too. Seaman sees another Seaman he finds attractive and lowers his sunglasses. Seaman apologizes to both doctors for being selfish. The doctors say, well, at least you aren't shellfish. I wrote this late at night. We'll workshop the above line. Next. Marketing rollout plans. Seaman will be released in Japan and North America on Christmas, Africa, Australia, and Asia to receive it 1 week later. Europe doesn't deserve this movie and will never get it. We called his people. His people gave a hard didn't answer the phone. We called again. The movie was. His people seemed mad about that, like we were bothering them. We were like, are we bothering you? We don't see what their problem is. They've always been like this. Josh Gad is not better than me, which is true.
Question. I'm sorry to keep raising questions. I'm the executive at the table who just keeps asking questions. So it seems like a lot of this pitch relies on Josh Gad, not just our feelings about Josh Gad, but just Josh Gad's presence in general. What happens if Josh Gad is not available?
The movie falls apart, then it's not made. I'm sorry. Studio Canal would only buy it if we got Gad.
Can I ask another question off the back of that, which is,
please,
can we have Seaman but with Josh Gad's face, but keep George Takei's voice?
Yeah, we can totally do that.
Okay,
we can totally
right.
do that.
I'm in. George Takei's voice coming out of Josh Gad is music to my ears.
I think that's correct, and people would be fine with it. Potential challenges. Nobody remembers the game Seaman outside of people who ironically bring it up at a PAX panel. The concept of a half-man, half-fish that evolves into higher and higher beings over a short period of time may fill some with a sense of dread. The name Seaman reminds people of jizz, which is contrary to our G rating. Next. Budget $200 million, 50 spent on the movie stars, 25 spent on all the stuff that goes into shooting cameras, 125 spent on harvesting a human embryo and using CRISPR to create a fish-human hybrid if Josh Gad says no. 125 million spent on Josh Gad if he says yes, which is a good deal for Gad.
I think Josh would do it for $125 million.
I was going to say, Dan, can you confirm 125?
I don't want to speak for Josh. Here's my only concern is that Josh might be too good. You know, that like is there a low like? Josh is my close, like in real life, my close friend. So I feel like I have to watch out for him a little bit here. I don't know.
Saying I don't want him attached to this movie. It would ruin his career.
No, I just think, is there an out of the box person that we could, I mean, I don't know. Like this CRISPR idea is very appealing to me because let me tell you why. Actors are very difficult. However, if we could breed one from the DNA up,
Do you have Josh Gad DNA lying around?
No, let's let go of this Josh Gad idea. We could tailor. I think what Michael is proposing is that we could literally build a Seaman that will do whatever we say, that does not going to care about union hours. Okay, that doesn't need a trailer. That doesn't.
It's not technically a form of life.
Not technically a form of life. Is it even covered by, I don't know, a UN convention of any kind? We don't know that. That's all legal. We're going to let the legal scholars figure that out. But what we do know is that this Seaman that Mike is going to create is ready to be the star of this movie and work his ass off to make it a success. And that, to me, is very appealing.
Mike, are you a bit disappointed now Josh Gad is not attached? Oh no, Mike, what happened? You're so powerful. Your voice has disappeared.
Right.
Josh Gad's powers are stronger.
Silent protest.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Now we can.
Okay. Sorry.
So, are you still attached? Now Josh Gad may not be.
I would like Josh Gad attached, but you know what? I'm willing to work with the scientists on breeding a Seaman, and we could delay the movie.
So is us building a Seaman or getting Josh Gad basically the movie? Because that's kind of what your act breakdown consisted of anyway.
It's either or. It's either or.
Have you considered then pitching it as a docu-series? So you have the movie Seaman, but then you also have the tie-in.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Fire Festival owned the rights to the Fire Festival documentary. Suddenly, they're making money on both ends.
Didn't they own the Fire Fest? They did own it, right? One of them put money in it or something.
Their marketing team.
Their marketing team.
The people who made one of the documentaries. And I gotta say, I think that in some cases it's illegal to make money off of a crime, but this isn't a crime. Is love a crime? Is creation a crime? Is the birth of something new in the universe a crime? I don't think so. Also, I'm really excited to see those scenes where Seaman learns how to act and finally breaks into creating a character, because I have a feeling that we think that Seaman's gonna go method, and I think that we're right. I think that he's a method actor.
Can you imagine the scene where he says his first word?
He's going to dissolve into this role.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
If I recall correctly, Seaman, it had a virtual pet component to it.
Yeah.
Did not like. So, do you think that there are any interactive opportunities for the theater goer?
Yeah.
In the theater, do you have a remote? Can you pet the Seaman? Can you feed the Seaman? I was wondering what are your thoughts in that?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that question. We have there is one scene in the movie that's 30 minutes long of just Seaman in a fish tank, and we give everyone remotes, and based on what the majority of the audience clicks, that's the food you give him, or if you give him a toy, or if you let him out, or if Helen Mirren comes in. There's a Helen Mirren button on this remote.
Great.
Does if everybody presses it, does it drop duplicates of Helen Mirren?
If everyone really spams that button, you get a lot of Helen Mirren. So you really want to smash that button. Smash and subscribe.
Smash and subscribe.
What if me as a collector, people love taking things off of sets and they love to be able to have the opportunity to bid for something off of a set. What would happen if I decided I wanted to own Seaman?
Well, you wouldn't be able to get Seaman because we've created a creature that is not defined by any UN conventions. We already have a buyer, and it's the U.S. military.
Yeah.
My other question was going to be, does a Seaman live long enough for us to shoot the movie?
I hope so, because if not, I'm in a lot of danger. Like, I owe a lot of people money that I wish I did not take money from.
He made a lot of promises.
Made a lot of big promises. I really need this job.
We can at least do a toy line, right?
Yeah. Okay, toy line's fine then.
Maybe this is my game design brain, but I'm also thinking we're already breeding Seaman. In the creation of him, tying into the interactive element, we're looking for long-term engagement. We want engagement during the filming of the movie, or else everything falls apart.
Yeah.
So to pursue that, human beings already feel good or bad based off of whether or not people like their pictures or retweet their tweets. What if we bred into Seaman a gland in which, if electronically stimulated, he felt either very good or deeply, horrifyingly unworthy to continue living? So every user, they get the Seaman app, and they can just choose whether or not they approve of him today or not. And based off of the aggregate results, every single person, because he experiences existence at a faster speed than the rest of us, he'll feel every single approval or disapproval to his overall journey through this life. You can electronically shock Seaman if you just don't like him.
So is this another interactive theater experience? Or is this like a take-home Seaman?
We'll look at these notes. We'll get back to you on these notes.
I kind of need an answer now.
We will have a separate app where you can torture Seaman.
Also, it's 2020. We need to see woman as well. Is that possible? Do we know scientifically if that is a possibility yet?
It's a possibility, but no scientists have worked on it yet. So, but we'll release it as, we won't release it as a sequel, but we will release it as a PS5 launch title as its own name.
Excellent. Tying into the next generation.
Women swim different. Like women swim they swim differently than men do, so it takes like longer for you to do that.
They also understand the Geneva Convention a little faster than male seamen. So we can exploit the male, the sea woman maybe not so fast.
We're subverting gender politics with Seaman the movie.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's at the core. That's the goal.
The only thing I'm slightly worried about is who's going to be responsible for putting down Seaman at the end of shooting.
There's sort of a raffle with the cast and crew. You know, like a rap party where you give out like jackets or something. One person gets to kill him.
Okay, all right. I just, as long as, I mean, because there could be a brand opportunity there as well.
It could be a special one-off episode. You know, like when Tiger King had that additional episode after it became popular. We could have the death of Seaman.
Just something to think about.
Christmas special.
I'm just spitballing, but I just, just seems like an opportunity. And I'm not saying Gad won't do it, by the way. I really want to be clear on that.
Right.
I don't want to.
Could you call Josh right now and ask him? Would that be possible? Hi, Josh. There's a movie here.
I could.
That's the response of someone who could but will not.
I could do that.
The thing is, Joel McHale would be very handsome when he shot Seaman in the face, and that's something that we can't really ignore. Again,
people don't really like him, and if people love Seaman, right? People don't really like Joe McHale. So, like, I feel like it's a good casting for putting down Seaman in the special.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although I kind of want to do it myself.
Well, I mean, as executive producer, that's your right?
Yeah, I mean,
I did pay for him.
Listen, if you want to kill what you created, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, for $200 million, I better be having some fun.
Honestly, you're much more like a film executive than you think you are.
Yeah, you really are doing a good job. I see no difference between.
Get Josh Gad on the phone right now. Before, we have to roll out of this boardroom. The boardroom is booked for another meeting. There's another Light and Pictures coming along very soon. But if we were to just roll back, and one of these was realistically going to be a movie that we passed on to our beloved Dan Hernandez and was like, Dan, please deliver in the future. What movie are we thinking would realistically become the movie that would be the next Detective Pikachu blockbuster? Mike is very biased. He's created masterful genius and feels like that's the way we should go.
It's hard.
I feel strongly about by Nook or by Crook, but by Nook by Board or by Crook is actually good. Whereas I feel like after a stunning success adapting the Detective Pikachu license, what better fate for Dan Hernandez than to have to bring Michael Jackson's Moonwalker the show into being?
That is true.
You know, I always want to see someone work on their passion project. Like, you don't want to see someone work on something someone else did. You want to see them really get their foot in it and show, like, hey, 360, I'm in charge. This is what I bring. So I'm going with the Moonwalker project.
Let me just say one thing. If you knew some of the things that I've pitched on in earnest, being like, I am so excited about Cheerios the movie. That's a made up one, but not that much better. So let's dispense with any sort of giving me any sort of artistic credit whatsoever, because I know what I've tried to do, and it would disgust you. Disgust you.
That check wouldn't disgust me though.
By the kinds of things, by the kinds of projects
for Cheerio the movie
that I please, not just I want to write this. Please let me write Cheerios the movie. I'll do anything. But here's what I think. I think the movie that is the right balance of bad but would actually be made is Seaman the movie.
That we have it. We have a winner.
I think
is this because of Josh Gad or because of the scientific?
No, just it's a bold title.
Mm-hmm.
It's a C. It's a man. I get it. I'm an executive.
Yep.
That's very important. Very important. Is the idea on a basic level in the title? Yes.
Yeah.
Could it be talking about semen? The substance, perhaps, maybe for the PG-13 crowd. You know, now they're intrigued.
Is this the movie that gets people back into theaters like Tenet couldn't?
Listen, I think that if we were to make this movie the way that I want to make this movie,
would we attach the shock device to Josh Gad?
No, I would not do that to my friend. But I would.
I don't know him personally yet, although he seems like a lovely man.
He's a lovely person.
Would you like me to attach the shock device to Josh?
No, I can't allow it, but I would attach it to a creature specifically designed by Mike to his specifications.
Yeah.
To make sure that this project came to fruition. I love it, and I hope that you'll consider me as in the mix, as we say in the biz.
Totally.
Mike, what role can all of us play in your movie?
You can be executive producer. Xalavier can be, I'm going to say co-star. Danielle director. And I'm gonna give it to Dan to write. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Dan, let him write the whole thing, and then I'll come back with notes that infuriate him because I've done no work on this.
Well, and that's the Hollywood way.
That's the Hollywood way.
That's the way to do it. That's the truest thing that's been said today.
Yeah. So that thing you've been talking about for months and trying to figure out how it works? Well, I just got here, so why can't you do the other thing instead?
Yes. I mean, 200 million based off of the most work Mike's done forever, which is a 2-hour PowerPoint presentation about semen. I feel like it's the very Hollywood way of doing this.
Yeah. Good pitch.
If there were a better way for this type of thing to be made, then we would be doing it that better way.
Does it take place in just a giant glass bowl? Like the whole production takes place.
That's a good idea.
In a giant glass bowl.
It's called the Mandalorian, and we take all the Mandalorian cameras and we stick them inside of a giant bowl.
I mean, we just shot the budget up, but it's not my money, you know?
Yeah, it's more fun to say yes than to say no.
3D is the wave of the future. We want them 3D cameras. Lion King that shit up.
We've spent a collective $274 million. I think that's quite a significant budget. Do we think we will make our return?
I think you're way undershooting. The Danielle's movie cost $300 to $50 million by itself. Shenmue, Shenmue was a more modest budget. We're going to get some brand partners, but so that's about $4 or $5 million. Michael Jackson, the show, is is a 10-episode order at $20 million an episode.
Oh yes, yeah. Sorry, I forgot. It's per episode, not a one-off. Yeah.
So
let's box that up immediately.
Let's consider that. And I mean, it sounds to me like if we're going to do Seaman right, it's going to cost $1 to $2 billion.
Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
Great.
And with that, the boardroom, they're knocking on the door. The next line of pitches are coming in. We have to get out of here. So everybody, if you would like to say a quick farewell, and then we'll get out of here. Thank you so much for your time, everybody, today and joining us. Thank you so much. Welcome to our terrible pitches, Seaman 2022.
I'd like to apologize for my pitch. I'm sorry.
No, it was good.
We apologize for everything.
I loved everyone's pitch. You all are all so great.
Thank you, everybody.